Oos Warriors, welcome back to the channel, to our 10 a.m. check-in, our discipline check-in. I am in the basement of my house. I have a lot of different people staying at my house right now, so I had to move down here to be able to share with you. So it looks kind of crazy in the background. I got two refrigerators in the background here. Got a fridge and a freezer. These are my where all the extra food goes. Of course, we got to stay healthy and keep the freshest of foods. Anyway, this is May 19th, I believe. I've been retaining since December 14th, 2025. We're going for the entire year 2026, checking in here with everybody to see how you're doing on your journey. I just came back from Sacramento on Sunday. First time I've taken a red eye back in a long time, but I only had 3 hours of sleep and just kept going. That's one thing, I've noticed now with retaining my seed, I need a lot less sleep. Um, when I do get it, I feel great, and I try to make sure I get about 7 to 8 hours a night. That doesn't always happen. I have a young child that sleeps in the bed with me, 6 year old, and my wife, and so we all waking each other up all the time. But also, I like to get up really early in the morning. This morning I got up like probably 5:45, and I like to get a lot of work done in the morning. Also, a lot of my creativity juices are flowing in my mind so early when I wake up. So it's great to get it all in. And I was supposed to get a workout this morning, and my partner couldn't make it. So, things happen like that all the time. But I would say this this has been, something I was always concerned about. If I get low sleep, it's also correlated with low testosterone. So I try to make sure that I get the most amount of sleep. But as I was traveling this week in Sacramento, I did not get a lot of sleep. I'm from the East Coast in Washington, D.C., and traveling out there to California, they're on a different time zone than I am, 3 hours behind. So I wanted to stay on Eastern Standard Time. So when I got there, fall asleep at like, midnight. And then I wake up at 4 in the morning, wide awake. Like I have so much energy and like, you know, um, so, which is 7 o'clock my time right over here. So I made it a point to make sure I got up in the morning early to use that energy and train every single morning. I was out there in Sacramento as I was speaking in my other videos, like, all the opportunities that you get with discipline, with retaining your seed. Again, one does not equal the other, right? It's more about you being able to focus your energy on other efforts and not wasting your time, not wasting your power to pixels on a screen. And in doing so, you pick up a lot of positive habits, which basically attracts things to you because you put in the work to do so. So I received so many different opportunities to do different things. You have to be very judicious about what you choose to do and what you don't choose to do, because there's so many shiny objects in your face that it's like, you could take up anybody on anything, but then your plate gets too full and you can't execute. So you have to make sure you're very careful and you know what you want. We talked about that in previous conversations about, knowing your why, about why you're doing this discipline, but also like why you're doing anything in general. And for me, I have a 10-year vision about what I want my life to be and how I want to live my life. So this kind of goes along with it, right? Which is helping other martial arts school owners, connecting with more people, making more meaningful relationships, and sharing my art with the world, my martial art, and hopefully my experiences. Not to say that I have the answers to everything. I'd rather be the guide on the side than the sage on the stage, and therefore going to a conference with a lot of different martial arts school owners, people that are in my situation, and connecting with them and learning from them. That's really, really beneficial for me. So I was asked to speak at the ProMac International Conference, which is my mentor, Hanshi Dave Kovar, puts on a big conference every single year for martial arts instructors, school owners, people that are in the industry, right? So we go out there. There's like I'd say over, it's hard to put a number on it, several hundred people. Like this shirt is from the event. This is actually a really nice shirt. I'm always looking for nice shirts, in the sense that it's very soft and it fits really well. And we love that in the martial arts community. The jiu-jitsu community is really big on t-shirts. As a matter of fact, every competition you go to, you get a free t-shirt, and they gave me a free t-shirt at this conference. And super, man, look at that. Look at, you even get like on the side of this thing, it's got its like own logo. That's really, really cool. So I always look at t-shirts to make sure they're the most comfortable and the most soft and the most well-made. And this one is a very well-made shirt. In any case, I was asked to speak at this conference. It was a 2-day conference. And the day before, I'm in a special group with a bunch of other business owners, and so it's really important to network and to, for the lack of a better word, like a mastermind, right? Like it's a group of people getting in with the same mindset of growing and the same mindset of, the same kind of issues that you might deal with, but it's also different issues because people are different problems with different growth stages of their business. So you get a lot of value of sharing the same room with these people, and I was in the room, 8 hours, and really we get a lot out of the breaks too, like pulling people aside and connecting with them. That's one thing I would say on seam retention has been very easy for me to articulate my thoughts in my mind, right? Like you would say that maybe your mind is more attuned to the consciousness of the universe, and maybe you're getting like different vibes and now able to communicate that much more concisely, succinctly, which helps me navigate the social interactions that you have to deal with. And really, I'm a very introverted guy, believe it or not. I don't really like having to put myself out there so much. But as a person who teaches martial arts classes, also runs my own martial arts affiliation with other school owners, I have to learn to be more extroverted. I have to learn to connect better with people, and also to be a connector, a networker of people, and bring people together. Like basically, for lack of a better word, developing a very strong, tight knit community, because that's all really we're looking for. I think that's where humans are looking for. Um, and so I was able to share a room with all these people, learn a lot, and the next day, which was Friday, I taught a foot sweeps of fury seminar, which is, if you guys know, I have a course for jiu-jitsu practitioners, judo practitioners, even anybody who does striking, learning how to take people down with foot sweeps. It's called Foot Sweeps of Fury. You can pick it up in my courses section. I put that down below in case you want to pick it up there, but I'm also advertising it. So I was asked to teach this Foot Sweeps of Fury seminar, and you know what? Like it was, I don't like to toot my own horn, but it was the, I would say, the talk of the town. Everybody said it was a really good session. I've been to a lot of jujitsu sessions or seminars. I'm not big on seminars. I always try to walk away with one technique. If I could do one thing, I'm really happy about it. But a lot of seminars are too long. They're like 2 to 3 hours long. And my brain just kind of falls asleep after the first 45 minutes. So I was given 50 minutes to work. And I wanted to make sure we had no downtime, right? We're doing one thing and do it into another. And to make sure, like, I taught maybe 4 techniques, and I wanted to make sure we spliced in a lot of situational training and a lot of activeness, a lot of not listening to me talk and do things, but more of actual them doing the thing. And I think everybody appreciated that. And once, as soon as I saw people's minds wander when I started talking, I immediately got into a drill or some type of game or activity where, they could get re-engaged and practice the concepts and techniques that I was trying to convey to the group. And we had a lot of people in there. It was probably 40 or 50 people attending my Footsteps of Fury seminar. And I was really grateful to be able to share that opportunity, share that experience with all the people there. And having more people also like fires me up. Like I love like the energy that we get out of a big room. And I want to make sure that they're getting the most out of their time, because they're investing their time with me for those 50 minutes. So I would like to make sure that they get the most and walk away with something that they can use either conceptually or an actual technique that they can use. And also, my goal was to give them training methodologies that they could use in their own schools so they can practice the things that we're doing here, right? Because we're only getting a very short time to spend with each other. So I found that my discipline of seam retention really allowed me to connect with the group, connect with people individually, be more articulate. It allowed me to make more meaningful connections, both with men and women, right? Because the idea is also you don't treat women as sex objects or looking very lustfully at them all the time. Makes them very uncomfortable, but make me very uncomfortable if I was in a situation like that. So allowed me to connect with a lot of different people. And I just felt like that was a superpower for me. And I didn't think about it going in being like, yeah, I've been retaining my seed. Like this is what's going to happen. I just got in there and we just started moving. And I also had to make adjustments along the way. I always have a lesson plan when I get into something, but sometimes in the heat of battle, the plan is not always good. You have to be able to make adjustments. And for me, I was able to do that. I was able to kind of see like what experience what experience level people had, so that I could craft the 50 minutes to build a masterclass, right? One thing we always talk about in these conferences, one thing that my mentor, Hanshi Dave Kovar, would always say is we don't just teach good classes, we teach great classes, right? I'm always trying to teach that master class. Sometimes it doesn't always turn out like that. I'm having a bad day, but even if I'm having a bad day, my mantra of I'm going to teach this class as if it's the most important class I'm ever going to teach in my entire life. I approach it in that manner. And that's every interaction I have with somebody, including with you all here. Like I haven't seen a lot of your faces. I don't know you, but every interaction that we have, I want to make it my magnum opus. Is that the right word? Like my best foot forward, my best self, right? And hopefully it'll get better and better each time. Again, it doesn't always happen like that, but we do the best that we can. And if we approach it in that way, then we're going to get the best outcome. Because if we go into it with this mindset of like, oh man, I'm having a really crappy day, like now everybody's going to have a crappy day. Like I want people to know about it. Now that energy just is very contagious and we're all having a bad time, right? That's not how we want to be. And so even if I'm having a bad day, it's not that I'm going to fake it till I make it. It's just that I want my best self to come out. And I don't want to have other people to have a bad day too. Why? Why? So I just felt like the discipline that we've been practicing here, the semen retention, allowed me to really channel the best that I had inside myself. And not only that, but connect with other people. And so I would say this. There was another practitioner there, and I much respect to him. He's a master martial artist, but I felt like, he was filming a lot of stuff for his video too. So I felt like it was more for that. And I wouldn't say for himself to be selfish. I think he was a very selfless guy, but his intention was he needed to get video out there. And so it wasn't necessarily for the people as much. And so therefore I always try to make sure that I can give to the people and connect with them. I think if I come from that intent in that place, then I'm going to have the best outcome that I possibly can have, as opposed to just being about me, and trying to get more for myself, or just, being centered around me, So that was my first day at there. And it was a long day. We finished probably around like 4 o'clock. I had delicious meals, had great conversations. And the next day I gave a talk on retention in school. So basically, like, how do we keep more students training in our martial arts school? Because summertime is a really tough time for the martial arts industry. I don't know if you know, but in the martial arts industry, there's great times. There's like, it's feast or famine. Feasting is January, when everybody has a New Year's resolution, something they want to learn or get into, right? So we get that like big surge, always a big sign up enrollment during January if there's things not happening, like a government shutdown or like a snowstorm. We had that this year, so it hurt us a little bit, but we still got to see the normal numbers we see. And then the other time we feast is September, where all the kids go back to school, all the parents come in and they have new routines and schedules to try to get into. So that's also a good time because people get really committed to their training, right? They want to know like what they're going to be doing every single day for the next however many months during school. So that tends to be a very good time for us. Slow times, summertime, right about now, when the weather starts to get nice and people start to think about the beach, they start to think about vacation, they start to lose focus on perhaps the drudgeries of work, which I think is great because everybody needs a recharge. But we tend to see this as a slower time during the industry, and so we have to do what we can to kind of keep everybody engaged and training. And so that was what my talk was about. Was essentially how do we, not specifically for the summertime, but how do we keep people training and motivated? And we had a lot of different things to share. And so I felt like, going into it, I felt concerned. And my concern was I able to give the value that everybody was looking for? Because, spending an hour with me is a big time commitment. And there was also a lot of pressure too. A lot of people said like, hey man, like, we're talking up your talk, your session, because you've brought up some things during this group meeting that other people want to know about. Now, my talk wasn't necessarily about that. It was about the retention aspect. And that was given to me by the event coordinators, right? They were like, here, you're going to talk about retention. And because we've had some success with it. So they wanted me to share my experience, but I didn't quite know how to communicate that to the group. And I spent probably 8 hours preparing the slides during the airplane ride over there. That's been a cheat code for me, is just like, look, springing for the internet on the plane and hopefully it works, and then getting a lot of work done. And for me, it was a 7-hour flight. So I got plenty of work done on the way there. But still didn't know whether it was going to hit home or not for people. And so I really had to frame it as like, we had a lot of difficulty with Doge. We're in Washington, D.C. A lot of people lost their jobs. I don't know if you know, but the federal workforce was downsized by 277,000 workers. And that's just the federal workforce, because in DC, most of the people, they're government contractors. They got affected by it too. So we had a huge economic downturn in Washington, DC. Normally, I opened my martial arts school 18 years ago during the Great Recession, when everybody was losing their houses. And so, why not open a second school right now when the economy is in the, very uncertain? So I had to kind of frame it in that. And I think it did really well. A lot of people said it give a lot of value, and I made a lot of contacts. People were asking me for my slides. People were asking me for my contact. And again, I take it back to the discipline that we've been all practicing here, which is semen retention, allowing me to really be able to channel my best self and really connect with people. And you get that a lot of times. I hear, I always listen to a lot of people's semen retention experiences. Of course, it's not it's not your experience, is your experience. So I'm not expecting anything, but I do want to, kind of learn more about what other people are doing. And what people say is that it's just easier to have conversations with people. It's easier to have eye contact. It's easier to articulate your thoughts. It's easier to speak. It's like the words just flow. Like even for me right now, I normally stumble a lot, like and I do a lot of filler words too. One of the things that I intentionally try to do when I speak is I attempt to not use filler words. You know what I mean? Like I often catch myself doing that, but I try to limit that because I want to communicate clearly and I want to be well understood. And if you're able to do that, oftentimes you're perceived as being an intelligent person. Not that I need to create any facades or images of myself, but I do want to be a good communicator and I pride myself on that. And so one of the things that I try to do is limit my use of those words. That was given to me by a friend at one point. He was in a theater class and the teacher told them that they weren't allowed to use the word things and like and and if you could have conversations without those words and really try to fill them with actual words that have meaning, you could actually use less words. And so I think it was a more of a exercise on being an orator, right? A very well communicator. And I think it has a lot of uses for us today. I don't know if you've seen this movie Idiocracy. It's a pretty hilarious movie. I think it's actually a documentary right now because we're living in that time. I don't want to spoil it for you, but basically moving it, somebody gets frozen and 1,000 years later, he wakes up and the world is literally dumb. Like we're all dumb. I use the word like again. And all the clothes are branded, covered in logos. People speak like Valley Girls. It's a mixture of Valley Girl and I forgot what the word is, but it's just so, it's the world that we're living in now. I hear people that can't even communicate. For instance, I spoke to a student the other day and he used 80% cuss words to describe how he was feeling. And I still couldn't understand how he was feeling. Maybe it's a product of the music we're listening to or the culture that we're in or the people that we're surrounded by. But I know that things that we are exposed to, things that we are seeing are almost celebrating the fact that we should be dumb, that we should be stupid, it's okay to be this way. It's okay to be ignorant. For instance, let's look at every family show that's ever been created. And maybe this is something that you tell me in the comments, okay? In what family show has there been portrayed the male figure as a smart man? Give you some examples of a dumb person that we celebrate. Not even a real person. Let's say Homer Simpson. Hilarious. Is he a smart person? Watching this person, do you want to be like that person? When you put somebody up in the pedestal of celebrityhood and they're on TV, it's almost like we should act like that, right? So again, back to our regularly scheduled programming. They use the word program because they want to program the way that you think for a reason, to make the world this way so they can run it. But tell me in the comments, has there been a male lead role or male lead character in a family show where the man is portrayed as a smart person or a strong person? I can't think of one. Growing up in the 90s, I watched a lot of Full House. Everybody was so aloof. Family Matters, the husband is still kind of, doesn't really know. Just happy-go-lucky. Most of them are overweight. Let's see. Yeah, I can't think of one. Is this done by design? I don't know. No, I do know it is done by design. They don't want you to be smart. They don't want you to think. So going back to what I was initially talking about with this movie Idiocracy, definitely check it out. It came out about 20 years ago, I would say. It was done by the creator of Beavis and Butthead. And the only thing I saw a podcast with him with Joe Rogan, and he was talking about this movie, and he didn't even think it was going to be made, but it was a hit. It was like a cult classic. And the only thing that he did not foresee was cell phones and social media. Those are the two things that were kind of left out of the movie that were really big, of course, right now affecting us. But he called pretty much everything else. The clothes, the way that we speak, the fact that we're so dumb and ignorant, the fact that people are so lustful and just want to beat off all day. All of this. Even Crocs. Can you believe it? Crocs. He tells this story on the podcast about the fact that they were not going to be able to release this movie because they were over budget. So the producers had to figure out how to cut the budget. And they said, you know what? We'll use the costumes. We'll cut the budget on costumes. I know you wanted these shoes that look really dumb, but I got some other really dumb shoes that are really cheap to make. Here they are. They're made out of plastic. They're called Crocs. We can get them for really cheap. The company's about to go out of business. And so then they bought all these Crocs. People started wearing them. And look at now. Now everybody's wearing Crocs. Everybody. We got designer Crocs now. $100 Crocs. Crazy. Louis Vuitton Crocs. I could be wrong about that, but I know that there are some designer Crocs out there. Kind of ridiculous. So anyway, go watch this movie. It is basically a documentary about where we are right now. This is pretty much my experience, with so far, man. It's like I'm almost about 6 months, and I feel like my mind is going a mile a minute, but not frazzled in a bunch of different directions. All really well connected. The thoughts, not all the time. Sometimes I have some days where I'm just like, what should I be focused on right now? But overall, once I have something in my mind that I want to do and I focus my energy on it, it feels like the creativity flows, the thoughts flow, the ideas are communicated. Of course, everything can always be better. I'm not saying I'm doing perfectly because I'm practicing this. I just feel like compared to what I was when I was constantly drained, I just felt no motivation. I feel like those ideas weren't there. I felt like I couldn't really draw within myself. And so now I'm very excited about this. This only solidifies my resolve for what we are doing here together on these weekly check-ins. You don't have to convince me that this is something that you should do. I know it's something that we must do in order to bring out our best self. You have to be disciplined. And I never thought that this was the answer. Culture always taught me that it was important to spill your seed, because if you don't, you're just going to be like a rabid animal, right? Like unfocused. Your mind is too trapped in lust, and so you have to get it out so that you can focus on other things. And really, it's the opposite. You need to hold that in. You need to retain the seed. You need to draw from the energy from it, because through that sexual energy, all that creativity flows. And I believe it. I believe it. And you can believe it too. I get a lot of people that say, especially on any post that I make about it, they're like, oh, all this science says otherwise. This is all bro science. None of this is proven. Well, you have that inside yourself. You don't need science. You don't need a paper that you didn't even read to tell you that this is the way. You can know the way for yourself. All you have to do is just do it. And if you do it, that's the best way, because I can't convince you. I can't tell you. I'm just a guy on the internet you probably haven't even met before. The only way you can know is if you try it for yourself. And you have to really be committed to it. You can be like, I tried it for 3 days. That's all. A lot of people are seeing on the comments, I couldn't even last 2 days. That's because we're so used to spilling our seed that often. That's crazy. That's where I was too. And I don't ever want to go back there. And I want to make sure that my future self remembers this conversation, because this is the self that I would like to be putting forth every day. The energy, the creativity, the motivation, the inspiration of things that I'm just getting. I get up in the morning, I take a nice shower, I go for a nice run or something like this. Like, I'm always getting these ideas, and it's important to kind of make sure that I don't take myself in too many different directions, but it's important to just be able to get those ideas. Because before I was so tired. I was so, would you say, lackadaisical. I was so demotivated. I was almost like, man, what is the point of being here on this earth? Even though I was surrounding myself with pleasure, I could do anything I could have any pleasure I want. I could eat anything I wanted. I could feel anything I wanted, right? Like that to me, isn't this the highest part of society? Isn't this where we're supposed to aim, to have pleasure anytime you want, to feel fulfilled? But that's the opposite. You actually feel empty. It's weird. It's a weird feeling. You have everything, but you feel nothing. So again, uh, I want my future self to remember this, because this is the way I want to feel. I feel amazing, and hopefully you guys feel amazing too. And if you don't, like, this is not the only answer, right? There's many things that need to go along with it. And I would say that this is the beginning of something. Once you be able to reclaim some of your time, reclaim some of your strength, you can put that into other areas of your life that's going to build it up and be better. Now, look, my life isn't perfect. There's always things that we could try to improve upon, but now I have the energy to do that. And I know where I want to go. And so therefore, you guys can do it too. There's a couple questions here. What's the best food on this journey? Well, any food that is healthy you can tolerate. That's a crazy answer. So for me, I'll tell you what I can do from my own experience. Right, for breakfast, I had 2 eggs and 4 egg whites, and a small thing of spinach and some Ezekiel bread. So I try to look for a balanced meal, lean proteins, some type of vegetable, and some type of complex carbohydrate. And if you can do that, that's great. Let me give you some examples of some lean proteins. Perhaps I eat a lot of red meat. I know that's one of my problems that I have. Steak, but I try to stay away from ribeyes and heavy fatty steaks. I try to stay with more things that are like a New York strip steak that is not so marbled in fat. Chicken, turkey, these are all lean meats. Fish, all lean meats. Well, you're looking for white fish, or not fish that's too fatty, but you kind of need that as well. You need fats in your diet, but not in large amounts, right? So salmon, all these good fats. You would say, so that's the lean meats, right? So now we go complex carbohydrates: brown rice, sweet potato. Let's see what other complex carbohydrates. Quinoa. These are all things you can try to mix them up. See what you like. That's also depends on what's the best food. It's the foods that are healthiest that you like. The things I was saying before. So those are complex carbohydrates. Cruciferous vegetables. You got spinach. You got asparagus. You have Brussels sprouts. We have broccoli, cauliflower. So basically my meals try to revolve around these foods. These are the foods that I mentioned because I tolerate them really well and I can eat them. So I do. Garlic and ginger. I know a lot of people say sometimes it's too much, not good for you. I love garlic. I love ginger. So I put a lot of that in my food as well. So you just you have to spice your food the way you like it. You have to make sure, and making food for yourself is the number one thing that's going to keep you healthy as well. Because although I say all these things, I can go out and get chicken and broccoli and a sweet potato, and it can be doused in butters, oils, things that I don't even know that they're putting in there because I don't make it. I'm not making the food. So if you're able to cook for yourself, you're more likely to eat more healthy. And it is a skill, and it's an important skill to have. And I didn't really develop the skill really well until I had my child, and because she is a very picky eater, and also I wanted to eat more healthy. So I make the majority of my meals when I can, if I'm not on travel. Oh, there you go. When you're cooking with olive oil, I cook with butter too. I try not to use too many artificial things like margarine or hydrogenated vegetable oils. I try to keep things natural as best I can. I try to source organic products as best I can. And I just feel healthier and I feel better. Now, the old me, maybe 10 years ago, was always craving processed foods. I like a lot of breads and sugar and danishes. And, that's always been a problem for me, particularly sugar. But now that I'm eating more healthy, my body has become adjusted to it and accustomed to it. So if I'm traveling and I'm eating 2-3 meals in a row that aren't the most healthy, my body begins to let me know, like it rejects it. It's like, oh, I feel a little bit, I could have more energy. I feel like I'm moving a little bit slower. So I have to put the right fuel in my body. So that also galvanizes my resolve to being healthy because I know what it feels like when I eat terribly. I just don't want to do it anymore. So I'm lucky because when I was going up 20 years old, I always wanted to eat terribly. And maybe it's because I never knew what eating healthy was or what it was supposed to feel like. And now that I understand that, I'm more selective over what I eat, and I have my preferences are leaning more towards healthy choices. Not to say that sometimes I don't go off the rails and start doing some crazy stuff and eating sugars. I try not to do that as much anymore. But look, we're not all perfect. And that's one thing that I'm really trying to avoid is sugar, because my understanding, and as of course my own feeling, the first time I really went on the long streak of retaining was like 9 months. And I still sometimes would feel like, I was showering. I was like, man, I'm having a bad day. Usually the bad day is a Monday. It's not because my day sucks on Monday. I love what I do, teaching martial arts, working with martial arts school owners and helping them grow. And so I always look forward to almost every day. But sometimes on Mondays, I would be a lot slower. I'd be like, man, I don't really want to face the day. And that's because Sunday I was eating terribly, eating terribly on Sunday, which is like cookies and cakes. And sometimes my daughter's got birthday parties she's going to, and I'm eating those things. And I always felt like, why do I feel like this? And that was because I was just overloading the sugar the day before. It would kind of taper off during the week. It'd take a little bit of time to go. But then I decided for myself as an experiment to give up sugar for 60 days. And I felt great. I felt even more boundless energy. And so this is the way I want to feel. So that allows me to kind of be more committed to the resolve of not eating so much sugar. Red meat is a superfood. I believe that too. That's why I eat so much of it. Perhaps not so much fatty red meat. I do love a good ribeye. I can grill a mean steak. I tell you, my family loves when I grill meats. But of course, you have to source your meat from the right place. I don't always source it from the right place. I go to Costco oftentimes. But if you can go get some grass-fed organic steak from, let's say, something like Whole Foods, you're gonna be paying a lot more, but it tastes really good. Or if you can go and get, if you're a hunter, perhaps you might get some venison. It's more gamey. You have to really kind of be more accustomed to it, and of course, it depends on the way you kill it or how it's going to taste and whether it suffered. But these meats are definitely lean. They're from creatures that have eaten and have foraged on locally grown plants. So you also get that benefit as well. I have a question here about organ meats. I'm not really big on organ meats only because I just haven't eaten enough of them, but I resolved to eat more. And I think that's the main problem with our society. I think what do we do with the organ meat? Now, are we grinding them up and putting them in something? If we were, if let's just think about this as an experiment, right? Like, how does nature work? And nature basically wants to recycle everything, because if you're out of balance, then something happens to you or your species. And I think if we just kill animals, if we were out there and we're just killing animals and not using the whole thing, well, one, we'd be out of animals real soon. And two, it's just not, you have to honor the animal, and so you have to use the whole thing, right? So old cultures used to use everything from the brains to the heart. And I think that these things have a lot of value, both nutritionally and also spiritually. And so we have to get back to that. But right now we're in a kill factory, right? We're putting these thousands of animals in one place at a time and killing them all and just taking the parts that we want and throwing the stuff that we don't want. And it's almost as if we're not connected to that food anymore. I'd love to get back to a time that we are better connected to our food. Perhaps I'm not quite ready to make that jump wholeheartedly yet, but that's the idea I would like for myself in the way future. Cook your own food for the healthiest options. Something I learned. Yes. Number one, you got to cook your own food, guys. You got to cook your own food. That's the only way you're going to stay healthy. And cooking your own food doesn't mean microwaving some noodles or TV dinner. Okay. That's not cooking your own food. It's actually putting the ingredients together and making a meal that is healthy. And you're going to be rewarded for it. If the energy that you feel, to the body composition that you have, it takes practice, but it's worth doing. And it's something that humans have to do if we were living not in this society. Right here, it's like everything is put right in front of you. You know, it's almost like push a button and the thing appears, and we're going to lose our way. We're going to lose our connection with food, with the beings, with each other. That's the other thing, guys. Like every day, we're drifting more and more apart from each other as people, as a community. We're tribal beings. We like to be together and working together. And if you can enjoy more of nature, be in the outdoors, connect with your friends, there's nothing better than that. And that's one thing that I took away from the conference. That's my job. One of my jobs that I have to do and I committed to is connect with one person every week. It could be an old friend. Call them up, hang out with them, make a meaningful connection. Make one meaningful connection every week. We have to. That's the only way we're going to fight this machine, this system that is basically trying to put us into these individual pods and be able to control our minds with AI, with social media, with things that we're seeing. We got to connect with one another. That's the only way. Community is the only way. And that's, for me, through martial arts. That's one thing that I get to do every day is I get to train with my friends. I get to work with my students. I get to make those connections, but I am still me as the instructor, right? It's like, for me as a person who runs the school, who owns a business, my connections with those people are a little bit different. And so I have to make more meaningful connections with other people that are in my situation, others, business owners, other people that are in positions of leadership. And that's where being connected to other communities is really important. I have my own community as well for martial arts school owners and business owners, is the Black Belt Syndicate. And that's what I want to create locally for myself as well, for my own benefit, but also for the benefit of others so that they can begin to improve their communities. So for those of you out there that are just watching me on this, I haven't met you yet. I'd love to meet you one day. But connect with people that are around you, your loved ones, your family members. Try to make sure you have meaningful connections, because that's what's going to give you the energy and the health and the inspiration that you need to kind of move forward, especially when you're having a difficult day. And I know that the machine that's controlling us now is just here to extract our productivity and to make us into cogs in a machine. And that's not how humans we want to be. And so therefore, the only way we can do that is to break out of the system, and to do that with rebellious attempts. And that's just connecting with more people and go in the opposite direction. I know it's hard, guys, but we have to do what we can do. I'm seeing here B12 in liver is a 50% higher than muscle. Oh yeah. I mean, this is, if I would eat more liver, I bet you I'd be even more healthy. And there you go. I resolved to eat more liver this year. I'm going to do that, and then to get into more organ meats. And I would like to do, I was watching a show. I don't watch too many shows with my wife. That's the only time we have some free time at night when our child goes to sleep. It's might as well turn on something for a little bit. And we watched a lot of Alone. I don't know if you have watched that. We basically just had to go out and survive. And it's basically like almost like a starvation contest, like who can last the longest. And the people that last the longest are the ones that are able to find some type of animal and then use every bit of that animal, all the organs. I even saw somebody who needed more vitamins. And so they took the stomach contents of a rabbit, cut it open, cook it, and put it in a soup. That's how much they were using. Even the stomach contents of animals they were using. And so therefore, I think part of our issue of not being so healthy is that we only use a portion of the animal, and we also make bad choices as to what we want to eat. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at all. I could be a lot better. But for all of us, we have to start somewhere. And if you're eating a lot of processed foods, let's try to eat less processed foods. If we're eating a lot of sugar, let's try to eat less sugar. For those of you that are already cutting those things down, let's see what we can cut out of our life to make us even stronger. Okay, that's what we're all doing here. We're trying to make each other stronger and helping each other out. Is it true that caffeine is bad for semen retention? What's your take on this? I have given up caffeine. I gave it up over a year ago, and I tried it a few other times to be off. The longest I was off caffeine was 2 years. That's only because I was going to have my child, and I wanted to make sure that, I cast off every single vice that I had. And my vice with caffeine is very deep. I would drink 6 to 8 double espressos a day, drink coffee all day long. I would get lots of dips in energy and everything. And so I did stumble upon the Reddit forums, the semen retention Reddit. And multiple people would say this. They would say drinking a lot of caffeine forces you to relapse. It makes you think a certain way. And for me, for a while, when I was doing semen retention and I had caffeine, I was very assertive. I was like, almost like too aggro. Is that the word that these Gen Z are using? And it's like just everything is just so, it's almost like now I'm very assertive now. I'm still very assertive. As a matter of fact, like I just had a meeting with a young lady who's supposed to be helping me get my software in order for this company. And I almost like I almost inadvertently take control of the conversation and basically just like make it hard for her because I demand answers and she doesn't have all of them all the time. And I don't have time for that. Honestly, I don't have time to waste time. Okay. And so I'm very protective about my time. So I'm still very assertive. But with caffeine, I felt like I was almost like a shaking, anxious type of assertiveness. And I didn't want to feel like that anymore. And a lot of things that I read were people who gave it up were less likely to relapse and felt like they were more relaxed when they needed to be, and they could string their thoughts together. Because one thing that I thought was really happening with caffeine wasn't, and that was I thought I was getting more done. I was more productive, but really I was spinning my tires. Right, I was doing 10 different things. All those things were never connected, so I never got anywhere with any of them. But I felt like I was busy. I just wasn't productive. And then I would always search and hunt for that next cup of coffee, right? Before I could do anything in the morning, I had to get that coffee. And before I did anything, I wanted to have some coffee. And so that would raise my mood, and pretty much it was affecting me psychologically. It's probably one of the most socially acceptable psychoactive drugs you got out there. And so I didn't want that to affect my life anymore. I didn't want to have my feelings to be dependent upon a chemical other than what I produce myself. So I decided to go and experiment and give it up. And the first 3 days were tough. I'm not going to lie to you. Maybe even 7 days was tough. Definitely the first 2 days, I was a zombie. I slept a lot. And this was my experience that I had with the first time I gave it up. It wasn't great. And therefore, this gives me, again, the confidence and resolve not to ever want to go back and drink caffeine. So I feel great. And I would think you could try to do it too and see how you feel. After 7 days, for me, I can't guarantee for you, I felt all the withdrawal symptoms were gone and I could just carry on with my day. And I felt more productive. I felt more energy. I didn't have to waste time trying to get that coffee. I saved a lot of money. My wife still drinks coffee. She thinks all the time, like, oh, it's something we shared together. We still can share that. I drink tea and I still drink coffee. Now, coffee is decaffeinated coffee. Decaffeinated coffee is not 100% empty of caffeine, but there is one place you can get it called Swiss Water Process, which eliminates 99.9% of all caffeine through a process that doesn't require chemicals. I drink that every now and then. I find that it just kind of, as a ritual of drinking coffee and having that enjoyment with somebody else, I could always use that. I don't need it. I don't feel a boost from it. I think it's because I like whipped cream. That's my one problem. Right? I said I was trying to reduce my sugar, but I always give that permission to have a doppio campana, which is a little bit of whipped cream in my coffee. I think I like that more than coffee itself, but it allows me to be social and have something that I can do. I order it myself. I grind the beans myself. I don't roast the coffee myself, but I get it through Swiss Water Process. And it took me a long time to look it up because I don't know if you know, but coffee is one of the most pesticide-ridden food. And so you have to make sure you're sourcing it organic, making sure that the process it's going through is not making it more toxic for your body. So I was very selective about it, and I don't like drinking caffeine outside or getting caffeine because I'm always concerned that they're going to give me regular coffee. This happened so many times where I was like, whoa, before when I was giving it up for the first time, I was like, I feel really, must be a mistake here. Somebody put caffeinated coffee in. It's hard to tell, right? I mean, it looks the same. Sometimes people are doing work. They're also highly caffeinated as they're giving you coffee and they might not know. So I try not to buy any decaffeinated coffee outside, or unless I can visually confirm that that's what they're giving me, because there's a good chance I might get a mistake. One cup of caffeine won't kill you, but it's a slippery slope. It's like smoking cigarettes. You smoke it, just smoke one, and then you're right back on it. Okay, so I think that giving up caffeine has been a huge benefit in my life. I feel it's given me so much more energy. I get an even amount of energy throughout the day. So it's worth giving it a try and seeing how you feel. But again, you have to kind of weigh that as to all the things that are going on in your life. You got to do things at the right time. For me, I'm very easy to go cold turkey on anything. And the first time I went cold turkey on not watching corn, smoking cigarettes, smoking weed, and eating processed foods and sugar and drinking more water, I gave that up in my mind almost 8 years ago. And some things have stuck, some things have not. But um, I would say the only thing that hasn't stuck is sometimes the sugar, but everything else easy. Gave up all those things. I never looked back after. I did feel some cravings, but after a couple of months and understanding the benefits that it gave me in my life, never go back. And just like this experience that I have now, this is what led me to this practice. Like, how can I be better? How can I achieve these things now better now that I have more time and focus? And semen retention has been a game changer for me. And that's why I'm sharing my experience with you guys. And hopefully it benefits somebody out there. Now, for me, another reason is I'm going to fight somebody on my birthday, June 12th. Actually, June 12th is the weigh-in. I talk about this a lot. I am on the quest to become the first Triple Crown champion. That is a world champion in judo, jiu-jitsu, and kudo in the over 45 division. And that's why I'm chronicling everything, is to share my experience with you. One of the things I want to make sure that happens is I fight at my best. And if somebody's trying to hurt you, why not try to make sure you do everything you possibly can not to get hurt and to be able to win the fight? And for me, semen retention is one thing that I've been doing for this. And I can tell you, I already feel great, and I know it's going to help me. Okay, so I'll be sharing more details about that as we go along. June 12th is the weigh-in. June 13th is the first fight. It is the Kudo North American Championships. I got about 3 people in my division already, so at least I got 2 fights going to win the gold medal, and it's going to be a great time. Let me see a couple more things I can answer here. If you have any more questions, please, like, subscribe, share this with somebody who you think might be helpful to you. Let me know, let the algorithm know that this is something that is helping people out, and I'll continue to do them. As you know, we're here at 10 a.m. every single week on a Wednesday. How about the alleged benefits of semen retention, especially about magnetism? What have you experienced with alleged claims? Magnetism, what, with women? I'm an aloof person. I tend to think that I get a lot more attention from women, but I don't care because that's not what I'm in here for. And I get more attention from people. People pay a lot of attention to me more than they ever did before. And so I think that's real. And it may just be because, you just have a different energy about you. Your aura is different. I don't know if it's necessarily they can detect that. Some people say it's the pheromones for the women, but I don't know. I'm getting more attention. I'm getting more opportunities. And maybe it's just the way you carry yourself. Who knows? But I've experienced it. Yeah, for sure. 90 days, most real benefit, and how do you deal with the flat line? Well, in my mind, this is something I'm doing for a long-term commitment. I have other goals, like to win all these fights, and for family and financial goals that I'm looking to achieve. And so therefore, the flat line doesn't bother me. I don't know what a flat line might be. Maybe it's because you felt like you were so high on life. You felt so many benefits that you're like, why do I feel down? Why do I feel down? I would say I would look at my habits to make sure. Am I peaking at corn? Am I eating sugar? Am I getting the right amount of recovery? Am I working out? And do I feel good about myself in general? Maybe those are other things that you have to kind of look towards, and rather than just be like, oh, I'm going to flatline on semen retention. Semen retention is not the silver bullet. It is not all the end all be all practice is going to help you get through anything in life. It is the culmination of all the different positive things on all the discipline that you're able to exhibit in your life that will get you to where you're going. So it's not any one thing, but some people have complained about the flat line, the feeling of like, malaise or whatever it is. And how can I feel like this? Because I'm being 100% disciplined with my seed, and maybe I should just go spill it because I might as well if I'm going to feel like this. I'd say look at some other things that you're doing in your life. Look at some other habits. Is it those things? Is it other people in your life that are affecting you? Maybe it's just yourself telling you something about your life situation that needs to be changed. I would say that is a real thing. Okay, so I think people tend to, this being top of mind all the time, that I am retaining my seed. I don't even think about it half the time anymore. I just know that I'm doing this. And when I feel something positive that happens, I have gratitude and I remember, yes, maybe it is this. But you know what? I'm just thankful that I'm able to have this experience at all. Okay, so it's not even about what I'm doing and what I get for what I'm doing. I don't expect anything in return. I just want to be the best version of myself. I want to be able to offer the best that I can to others to make them better as well. So that's that's where I was at. And sometimes I think about it, I'm like, am I, is this a flat line? Is this a this? Well, what else is going on in my life? Because maybe it's important to document how you feel in journals. And this is what this video is for me, is that remember how I feel right now. Remember how I feel right now, because this is what can be. This is what can be. Yeah. As opposed to going back. And when you go back, you feel terrible. You feel tired. You feel shame. You feel not living up to your potential. And I don't want that for anybody here. I want everybody here to be living up to the best life that you possibly can. Okay. So I want to thank everybody for being with me. I only meant to be here for like 30 minutes, but it turns out I had a lot to say today, and you guys had a lot of questions, and I really do appreciate y'all for joining me and being on this journey together. Let's get more brothers on this journey together. Let's help each other out. Remember, it is not that comparison is a thief of joy, right? You're not here to compare yourself to anybody else. You need to one up anybody else. You need to help them up. That's the idea. We need to help everybody up instead of pushing them down. That's how society is. We're always trying to show how good we are and how much better we are than everybody else, but that's not what's going to help us. That's just going to make you real lonely. It's going to put you on an island by yourself. That's going to push people away. We need to attract people. We need to pull them up with us. We need to create community. We need to show them the way. But you can only be the pointer of the way. You can't tell anybody what to do, right? You can only share with them. And what they do with that information is up to them. Okay. So again, I want to thank everybody here for sharing your time with me. I know you could be doing a lot of different things on a Wednesday morning, but let's go ahead and spread the word, share, like, comment. I'll be better about putting more descriptions and stuff in these videos, but I'm just glad I'm able to talk with you in general. Okay. So thank you very much for sharing your time with me. I'm going to see you in the next one. I'll see you next week.